Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Wednesday, July 10th, and we are here answering financial questions or maybe just helping you understand what choices lie in front of you. And if that's the case, if you're someone who's thinking about a big change in your life, or you're approaching retirement, or you're having a baby and there's big changes that are afoot, why don't you get in touch with us? All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com. You click the Contact Us button, which is in the upper right-hand corner, wherever you are on our website, and a form will pop up. You complete that form, and that is the email that we receive from you. If you would like to join us on the air, you check the box, and Mark does everything else. Now, while you're on the website, I'd like to remind you, all of our content lives there. So you can, of course, subscribe to this podcast. You can also check out our radio show, videos, resources, and please check out the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday, and Mark does a fantastic job with that. Okay, so let's get into it. Today, we are joined by Liz, who's on the line from Colorado. Hello, Liz. How are you?
Hi, Jill and Mark. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you.
Oh, that's great. We're happy to chat with you. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I'm in a period of significant transition, especially with my son. And so I was hoping to get a sanity check on some of the decisions. I'm making a lot of moves financially right now as he transitions out of high school.
Oh, congratulations. A graduate. Very good. How old is he?
He is 17.
Headed to college or not?
He will be starting out locally in community college, and then we'll be reevaluating as far as four-year programs, undergraduate programs.
Okay, got it. But he's going to continue to live with you?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you, Liz?
I am 50.
Are you married, partnered, single?
Very single.
I love very. Like, I am emphatically single. Do not mess with me. Okay. And do you own your own home right now?
Yes, I do.
How much would you say the house is worth?
It's about $520,000.
Do you have a mortgage outstanding?
Yes, it is at $192,000.
Mm-hmm.
192,000 left, and it is at 2.5% interest.
Good Lord, is that a cheapie or what? So no extra payments on that, of course. So as far as your son, did you save any money on his behalf inside of a 529 account or a custodial account, or are you just paying for the community college out of cash flow?
So I have total for him between, I was doing savings bonds for a lot of years while I was in the military. And so between the savings bonds and the cash and the 529s that I did for him, I have about $62,000.
Oh, that's a lot. Because how much will community college cost?
Community college won't be much. I expect it to be under $5,000 a semester. And I told him we wanted to save the bulk of what I have saved for his final 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you got that. So you're down with that. So you're 50 years old. You're very single. You own a house with a very cheap mortgage. You got a son who's heading out to community college. What do you do for work?
Right now, I'm not taking time off. I'm working part-time as a consultant. Very few hours right now. I've had some significant health issues in the last couple of years, medical diagnoses and different things. And so I've never really, as a single mom, I've never really been able to be there a lot of times because I was always working a lot. So I decided to take some time off and just work part-time while I support my son's transition.
Okay, that makes sense. How much do you earn in that part-time consulting income?
I would say anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 a month.
Do you have any other sources of income?
Yes, I do have a pension, a military pension, and VA disability.
Oh, okay. So how much is the military pension?
The military pension and VA disability together comes out to just over $6,000.
Now, is $6,000 a month generally covering most of your needs right now or not?
It does. It does cover all of our essentials, and the consulting income is just for extras.
Okay.
I will say that my son has a lot of extracurricular activities that I still cover, and I'm figuring out a way to rebalance that now that he's transitioning to college. And we've had some conversations around the fact that, I can't be shelling out quite as much as I have for all this time.
So how did that conversation go?
He's understanding of it. And, we're also waiting on him driving. So he's kind of been a reluctant driver, but now he's I also had to have the conversation with him that, once he starts driving, he's going to need to cover the insurance. So he's kind of holding off a little bit.
Interesting. Okay. So let's talk about other money that you have saved. What's in your emergency reserve? So we talked about the savings bonds and the 529 for your son. What about your actual savings for you?
Okay. So I just kind of split out the numbers by TSP and IRA, and then also Roth. In the TSP, my thrift savings plan and rollover IRAs, I have 415 in traditional monies.
Okay.
And then I have a couple of Roths, and those are at 187.
Oh, that's great. So those are like the two big buckets, right? The pre-tax and the Roths. And then do you have any money that's like taxable brokerage account or a savings account? What do you have for just like slush money there?
So I do have just under 180,000 in two different brokerage accounts. And I also, part of that too is also a 457 plan, which I count in the investments category, just because it doesn't have the same penalties as retirement accounts for early withdrawal. And one of the things I was kind of considering is that either next year or the year after that, when my son gets to driving and I give my vehicle to him, I would purchase a vehicle outright out of those funds, because I really don't like carrying any debt beyond the mortgage.
Right. Okay. I think that's fine. So just break it out for me. What's 457 and what's in the like a taxable brokerage account?
Okay.
Out of that
the
180.
457 is only 19,000.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. And the rest is in the brokerage account. Okay, great. Yeah. So because you're on disability from the VA, that means that all of your medical and health insurance is covered, right? Until you get to, well, actually forever, right?
Yes, it is, because I also retired from the military. So I did 22 and a half years.
Wow.
So I have VA and TRICARE, and I do plan to continue as necessary to cover my son's medical all the way through age 26, because we also have access to TRICARE Young Adult.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. So the only other thing that's like the sort of like the variable is this part-time consulting income. Is this okay for you? In other words, I don't want to say like, yeah, keep working. Like if this is hard, is it a struggle, or is the part-time income doable for you?
No, the part-time income is doable, and it's kind of necessary right now because, as I mentioned, my son kind of costs a lot.
Yeah, it's happening with these children all the time. They keep costing more and more. But it does sound like you're being very transparent with him. So I applaud you for that. That is awesome. So right now, any other big assets that we have not covered that you just run down for me? Anything else that's out there?
No.
Okay. And do you have life insurance that's still in place or not?
I do. I have term life of 900,000.
Wow. When is that done?
That isn't done until for another 12 years. And I do plan to keep that because it's relatively cheap. And I got it in place several years ago.
Okay.
And my son does have some challenges, maybe.
Okay.
He's kind of going to be probably more of a late launcher.
Okay.
Just needing some extra support. And, I do foresee that he will be independent. He's just going to take a little bit longer to get there.
Okay, fair enough. That not a problem.
I was just going to ask, in terms of funding college, is there a GI Bill option for your son?
That's what I was going to ask that also.
No, I did not transfer that. I ended up keeping it for myself, even though I have a bachelor's and a master's, I was concerned. I do know that a lot of veterans sometimes struggle with getting jobs afterwards. And so I kept it for myself in case I wanted to go to school to get the GI Bill stipend, like the housing stipend. And so if the consulting work were to go away, I'd probably go back to school for a year just to bring in the extra income because I like school anyway.
Okay, fair enough. And we don't really know what is the trajectory for your son, but it sounds like, it sounds like you're going to have the money that you need to do this. It's fine.
Yeah. And I've told him, I said, I'm going to cover school. It won't be any and every school, but I will be covering school.
Okay. Right. Presuming you show up and, pass. So what's your biggest concern right now?
So recently, I participate a lot in the financial independence community and the various, podcasts and websites and everything like that. So recently I did reallocate some of his 529 to more conservative investments.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of thinking about resource allocation. I'm not somebody who does credit card churning or max optimization or anything like that.
Yep.
But I think the next several years are going to be a time of transition. I don't plan on staying in this home forever. Wherever he decides to do his 4-year program, I'm probably going to move. And so it's just resource allocation, different things that I should be considering. I do know that savings bonds and 529s have different criteria as far as what qualifies as qualified educational expenses. And I am slowly, I'm starting out with the savings bonds.
I was going to say, I would prioritize using the savings bonds first. Absolutely.
Yes,
because
and that's what I'm doing.
In terms of the split of the 62,000, what's in savings bonds? What's in 529?
So in savings bonds is about 20 or 21. And then in the 529 40. Is 40.
Good. Perfect. The reason why I say that is that, you can use the savings bonds first. In the next year or two, let's say he does 2 years at community college. Is that usually what most people would do? 2 and then?
Yes. And I do anticipate that he may be doing 3. Because he still doesn't know what he wants to do.
So what I would do is I would probably, if it's $5,000 a semester, so that means your savings bonds will take you through 2. Then the 3rd year, you'd use the 529 plan. But then that would kind of work out beautifully because then in the 529, you'd have, let's say 30, 35-ish, depending on what's happening with him. And if he then stops, if he just says, I'm done, 3 years, that's done. Then that 35 can hang in that 529 account. And eventually we can start using that up to $35,000 to move into a Roth IRA for your son.
Yeah, one thing I did forget to mention when you asked me about other assets is I have a brokerage account for him that has about $13,000. I forgot to mention that additional brokerage account.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, but I will say, but I would say that I would use the savings bonds first.
Yes.
Then I would use the 529 to take me down to 35. I would spend enough of the 529 that leaves you with 35 grand in that 529. And then let's see what happens. You might need more of the 529, but if you don't have to touch the 529 after that, then you will be able to start putting in, let's say it was today. As long as the 529 has been open for 15 years, you can put $7,000 into a Roth IRA for your son every year, whatever the limit is, up until $35,000. That will be indexed for inflation. So that's how I would do that. And it sounds like you're doing exactly what you should be doing. Look, I think that your big ticket items in terms of like what you need to pay for, you have this money in the brokerage account, but you also, you do have, as you said, this 19 grand in the 457 plan, which you can tap. And as you move on through your journey in the next, say, 5 years, you'll need to figure out whether or not you need to dip into more of that brokerage account money or not. And then would you be eligible for Social Security as well?
Yes, I would. At 67, it would be 27.74, and at 70, it would be 34.42.
Is there, I hate to be blunt about this, but like, do you have a disability such that your life expectancy is less than the average 50-year-old woman?
Potentially.
So
I would, like, I have thought, you had a podcast the other day where the individual was considering taking at 62, and it is something that I've thought of.
Well, I don't want you to do 60.
It would be 1912.
I don't know. It would have to be, you'd really have to have a condition that I would be very convinced that you are not going to live till 67. Or 70 or 75. I mean, look, you're going to be okay financially. If you take it at 62, we know that you have a permanently lower amount that you will receive. So, the real issue is like, okay, am I going to live till I'm 75 or 80? Probably, or not. And that's really going to be the question that you ask yourself. And if the answer is like, no, and I would need that money now, that's fine. But you don't really need the money right this second. But if it's more like, I'm probably going to live longer, but I'm going to need more care later. Like I'm going to, you know what I mean? If that's the case, so this is a difference. This is so clinical. I'm sorry, Liz. I don't mean to be, sort of insurance company-esque on you, but this is a difference between mortality and morbidity. For example, if you are somebody who has like a very terrible heart condition, then that would argue that you probably have a lower life expectancy. Your mortality is curtailed generally. But if you're like the kind of person and you're like, I have a chronic illness that will allow me to live a long time, but I'm going to need care later, then I would want you to wait to take your Social Security because we're going to need as much income as possible down the line. So those are the kinds of questions you want to ask yourself before you make a claiming decision for Social Security.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, let me ask you another on the topic of like, let's talk about death. Do you have estate documents in place?
Yes, I do. I have a trust in place with all the powers of attorney and all that kind of stuff. And I do plan to review it next year because it's been about 2 years to help my son get any documents that he needs in place.
Yeah. Also because he's going to be 18. And so he could, so that's like a big threshold age. I think that you are in very good shape. I think that the longer that you can be a part-time consultant, the better it all becomes, right? And especially if you can do this for, this next group of years, right? You'll probably need 5 years to really figure out what's going on with your kid,
Yes.
And if you say 5 years from now, I'll be 55. And then at that point, you might say, okay, he's launched. He's great. I've gotten him through this transition period. And then maybe you say to yourself, I can live on my $6,000 a month now because it covers everything.
And it will be very easy to do that once he's
launched. So as far as I'm concerned, you keep working part-time as long as it takes to launch him. That's really what I think it should be. Or, you might have an age in your head. It might be like, okay, until 26. But like, that's for you, that's a long time. That's 8 years, right? So maybe it's like you really want to give him 5 years. You're going to say, babe, I got you for 5 years. And after that, we're going to work to get you on your own and launch him also to become financially independent. And that means, you got to do a little work with him. But that's okay. You're willing to do it. You've already done the hard work. Like he stayed out of jail. And he hasn't cut anyone's hand off. So far, so good. So I think that you'll get him where he needs to go. And during those years, then you make sure that you keep working to cover that stuff, or you keep working for as long as it feels okay for you. And then it sounds like you're doing everything right from there. So that's the good news. Are you managing your money yourself, or do you have someone helping you out?
Yes, I do manage everything myself, and I'm pretty comfortable with the various tools and the various apps and everything.
Great.
I do have some like allocation, like some individual stock in the brokerage accounts that I probably, and what I've been thinking of is I'm probably going to hire somebody, but only on an hourly basis, fiduciary, probably not this year because I've had a lot going on. But maybe next year I'll start out with tax planning focus, kind of get a comprehensive look later.
That sounds good to me. So look, we're here for you, but I think you've got this and you're doing what you need to do. I'm sorry that you've had to like juggle a lot and that you have a disability. That's what really stinks. But given that, and given that you have this kid who needs a little bit of extra help, I think you're doing a really good job, and you should pat yourself on the back, or let us pat you on the back. How's that? You feel okay with us patting you on the back?
Yes, thank you.
Why not? All right, let us know if there's anything else we can do, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, if you, like Liz, are trying to launch that kiddo, we want to help you out. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Write us a note. If you want to come on the air, check the box. We'll do everything else. Sign up for the free weekly newsletter and also check out all the content that lives on our website. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. If you wouldn't mind, please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. And try to put your hands metaphorically on someone's back. Someone needs a little pat on the back. You see, it does feel good. We really do appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And we like the fact that you put your hands on other people's backs to kind of hold them in this community. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.